In your opening presentation, you said the value of the loyal opposition is to provide a second opinion. Although in the parliamentary system, there are often more than two parties. Do you think the dominance of just two political parties in the American system has been good or bad for the idea of loyal opposition?
I disagree with the contention that we have only been dominated by two parties, because I think that third parties, while although small and often rare, have often had very impressive impacts on our system itself. The progressive movement headed by William Jennings Bryan during the 1890s and early 1900s proposed between 3 and 5 constitutional amendments that were eventually ratified that would have not been done on the party in power. Specifically, his Cross of Gold speech has been referenced as one of the most influential speeches ever given to Congress, and he was a member of a third party, the Progressive Party. Eventually, he was taken up by the Democratic Party, which is what you see often happens with third-party movements in the United States.
And I think if you look at the modern Tea Party that's going on right now, about 18% of Americans support it. And so while it does not have like a large number of candidates, there is a candidate running in Nevada against a Republican. And so I think that the Tea Party movement is gaining momentum, and it is going to become a very viable third option for Americans.
Right. The citation that Stephanie mentioned was from a CNN poll that was taken on March 25th.
Let's shift gears a little bit. What relationship, sit back a minute, what relationship is there among the concepts of limited government, checks and balances, and loyal opposition?
Well, I think all three of these concepts fall under the umbrella term of loyal opposition. I'll talk specifically about checks and balances insofar as you see checks and balances amongst the United States government showing loyal opposition. I already mentioned the Pollock v. Farmers case with the 16th Amendment income tax as showing how we can show loyal opposition amongst the branches insofar as we can overturn things that we think the other branches did were wrong. You can also look to the presidential veto of congressional acts or the threat of impeachment by Congress as checking back authority, yet still remaining loyal and operating within the democratic process itself.
And you see with limited government, we have the First Amendment, which protects the freedom of speech and the freedom of press, and these allow the loyal opposition to voice their opinions against, and that is one of the major issues. And also Edmund Burke once said he warned against confusing the unhappiness of dissension with the crime of treason. And we see that in Article 3, Section 3, we have the treason clause, which prevented hard for political politicians accusing of each other of treason when they oppose the legislation.
And also we can look to political parties themselves as being in the system of checks and balances, because these parties, they're always counteracting each other. As they said in the Federalist Papers, ambition must counteract ambition. So we always see the pendulum swinging between Democrats and Republicans, keeping the nation pretty much in the moderate center. And as Alexander Hamilton pointed out in Federalist 70, the political parties can be used to promote discourse and good civil discourse to talk about the issues.
And to continue with the idea of checks and balances, I think with outside of the three branches, there is another check, the people. The people go to the polls and they elect their leaders. And so I think that that serves as a viable solution to a party. And also the public will and the public opinion of an official creates a sort of a loyal opposition as well.
I want to go back to the Tea Party for a minute, because you have suggested that the Tea Party is part of being obstructionist when it has people sitting in death threats to members of Congress, and yet you suggested that perhaps it's got a less negative function because it may provide viable alternatives. Does that help us try to draw this line between what's obstructionism and what's loyal opposition?
First off, just to specify, in our opening statement, when we talked about the Tea Party movement, these were fringe groups that were either within the Tea Party movement or not within the Tea Party movement and were not condoned by Tea Party leadership, just as a quick clarification. And on your idea of drawing a line between obstructionism and loyal opposition, I think that the best way to think of these two terms is in terms of a color gradient. When you see red turn into purple and purple turn into blue, I can't tell you specifically where the line between red and purple is, but I can tell you definitely if a color is red or purple. What we see with this is that loyal opposition and obstructionism, we often skirt the line between these two issues. We mentioned the filibuster. We say arguably before the filibuster because some people believe it's opposition and some people believe it's not. Obviously, the Tea Party having the candidate in Nevada is loyal opposition, but members of the Tea Party movement throwing bricks through congressmen's houses is not.
And I also think that it's up to the Republican Party actually to decide if they will either accept the Tea Party movement or reject it. As some critics have noticed, the Tea Party movement has the potential to become the militant wing of this Republican Party. So that they can either accept that and the Tea Party will meet the fate of other third-party movements that have been absorbed into the main political parties, or they can reject it and it will most likely die out. So it's really too soon to judge if it's going to be loyal opposition or obstructionism.
If rejected, however, I think the Tea Party movement may face the same fate as Ross Perot's Reform Party, and ultimately in the next elections will simply take votes away from Republican candidates who are more likely to win, since those two parties' ideals closely interact with each other, and we may see even once again a more resurgence of liberal democratic ideals in our government.